trade deadline's coming up next Tuesday, November the 1st. And I want to play a game with you. I've got 2 players listed on the Steelers that I think have the potential to be traded. I'm not saying run them out of town. I'm not saying this is definitively going to happen. But if the Steelers get phone calls from these teams, I think they entertain the phone call. First player I want to start with, Mason Rudolph, who's been the 3rd-string quarterback all season long, has starting experience, has a winning record as a starting quarterback in this league. I think if the Colts call the Steelers on the phone and they say, hey, Matt Ryan just got benched / he has a grade 2 shoulder separation injury. He's done. Sam Ehlinger, the former Texas quarterback, is going to be the starter. He's one play away from getting knocked out. And then who's your backup if you're the Colts? Colts call the Steelers and off, I don't know, give Pittsburgh back a 3rd or 4th round draft pick, Ike, and we can start to build for future seasons. I think you entertain that offer. Mason Rudolph to the Colts, possible fit.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I mean, you said 3rd, I was saying 4th. But when you said 3rd and 4th round draft pick, I was like, perfect. Let me go on, get on my horn, make sure I get all my grades together and giving it to Omar Khan and company for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That wouldn't be a bad look at all because that situation said, so we got Matt Ryan sitting down for the whole season. Sam Ehlinger is coming in to be determined to see what the young man do. You got a guy who, as a backup of Mason Rudolph, who's been a starter and played in a few successful games. Let's see what we can do. You know, if we're gonna flip the coin, we might as well flip it all the way. And who has quarterbacks? The Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, they got 3 good quarterbacks. So yeah, I'm not gonna knock that at all. That would be a good one.
I would say serviceable quarterback, Psych, but that's just me. But quarterbacks Correct. With starting experience is the point that I'm trying to make.
Yes.
And that's where I'm at with that. So, okay, Colts, let's get him on the horn. Let's get him on the phone. And again, Rudolph has starting experience. If you can get value for him in future seasons instead of, look, I know he's probably valuable in that quarterback room, but he probably wants an opportunity potentially to get on the field as well. That's right. Not really going to happen so long as Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky are healthy. So there's one possible fit. Chase Claypool to the Packers as well was another potential fit, Ike, that I had. And I know the Steelers aren't usually a team to make midseason trades, but Aaron Rodgers, Packers sitting at 3-4, trying to chase down Minnesota in the NFC North Division. Remember, you lost Devontae Adams in the offseason to the Raiders, and you get Aaron Rodgers another weapon as the Packers try to put it together to make one more postseason run as Rodgers starts to get older in his career. Possible fit with Chase Claypool if they get the Steelers on the phone. Look, Claypool is at least a 2nd-round pick, so if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm asking for at least that.
Right.
And that's where I think that conversation starts.
Yeah, you can ask for that, but you probably get a 3rd.
Yeah.
You know, so if you get rid of Mason, and we're just hypothetically speaking,
yes.
If you get Mason off for a 4th and you get Clay off for a 3rd, I mean that's 2 thirds and that's 2 foes. So you got a 1st, a 2nd, 2 thirds, and 2 foes. Yeah, so that's some good picks. Really, that's where you build your team when you're looking at it from a draft standpoint. That's just my personal opinion because your 1st and 2nd and 3rd round, and them guys, you should hit on all 3 of them. You should already know they coming in. And 2 of them gonna be starters. If the 3rd round wind up being the starter, that's perfect. But from 4 all the way to 7, that's really where you're building your team. I just look back on how we was building our team as the Pittsburgh Steelers from the 4th round, from when I came in all the way down. Everybody played. You know, Aaron Smith played, Brett Kiesel played, I played, and in between Aaron Smith and Brett Kiesel, they wound up becoming Pro Bowl guys. You know, so that's when you really want to build your team. And people don't look at it this way, but I do, Mark. You want to start from the bottom up. I'm going to hit on 1, 2, and 3. That's how you got to look at it. Okay, my 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round draft picks, how can they come? I'm not talking about to contribute. I'm talking about to put pressure on guys to be in a position to start. Maybe they slipped from round 4 to round 7 because a scout or somebody projected them wrong. Maybe they slipped because they had a few issues in college. Maybe they slipped because they did something in the combine that other people thought they would have ran a jump higher. Maybe they just slipped. By the end of the day, you know, that tape don't lie. So That's how I feel you build a team. The better, the more aggressive, the more dog your later round draft picks are, man, the better your whole locker room gonna be. And I've always looked at that, especially coming from a scout from my perspective. The late round draft picks the Pittsburgh Steelers used to get wind up being the 8 Antonio Browns, wind up being, you know, all Pro Bowl guys. You know what I'm saying? So me, Deshae was a fourth rounder. He played 12 years. I was a fourth rounder, played 12 years. Was two starting corners that won the Super Bowl in Detroit. Will Gay wound up playing 12 years. He was a fifth round draft pick. Brett Kiesel was a sixth round draft pick. Wound up going to the Pro Bowl. Aaron Smith was a sixth round draft pick. Wound up going to the Pro Bowl. Who else I'm missing out on?
So well, you stole my AB line. I mean, we're talking about the player, but for 5 or 6 seasons as a 6th round pick, you're in my brain, Ike.
He wasn't a better receiver, had a better run than AB in a 5 or 6 year span. At the time, he was hot. You can say what you want to say about him off the field and his decision making, but on that field, I mean, in about a 6 year span, wasn't nobody doing nothing AB was doing. Yeah. AB was in a league of his own. So. And that's what I remember from Pittsburgh, just getting the late rounds, you know. So really, that's what you just need to get back to. But as far as like the trade deadline, Mark, yeah, I can see a 3 for Chase. I can see a 4 for Mason. And the reason why I can see a 4 for Mason, because you know they always value quarterbacks. More quarterbacks are always valued more than any other position, is what I want to say.
We saw Christian McCaffrey go from the Panthers to the 49ers. Do you think there are going to be any other blockbuster deals between now and next Tuesday?
No, that was a blockbuster deal right there. You know, for CMC to leave Carolina and to go to San Fran, you saw immediately they put him in. I mean, the starter and Wilson Jr. is one of my favorite running backs in the league. So they sat him down to get CMC, Christian McCaffrey, some touches, and he's going to fit well, Mark. CMC is going to fit well. He's going to fit well with them boys. You can just already see because he's small in stature, but he's not one of them small running backs who just want to run to the outside. The young man don't mind running inside in between the tackles, and that's exactly their personality when it comes to it. And we ain't even talking about coming out in the backfield. You know, I think the first couple of plays they did like quick screens to CMC right now just to get him the ball and let him do what he do. First down, first down, first down.
As long as he stays healthy, Ike, and that was the question going into this season was his ability to stay on the field. But if he's healthy with the ball in his hands in space, he's not your traditional between the tackles running back. He can do it all. Get him the ball. He's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. He can do it all. So I'm with you there.
With San Fran stable of backs, Mark, they're not going to use him like how Carolina – like CMC was the guy. You know, with the stable Coach Shanahan has sitting over there at San Fran, he's going to fall in line right with the mix. They're going to have a good mix. They're going to make sure they don't overload the young man.
I trust Shanahan a little bit more than I do former Panthers coach Matt Rule, and I'm not trying to step on someone while they're down, right. But there's a reason he was the first coach fired this season, Ike. So I'm excited for that fit in San Francisco. And look, the Panthers got to haul back, and the Panthers, even at 2-5 in the NFC South, are still only 1 game out of that division. We'll see what interim Steve Wilks can do with that opportunity there, Ike. So you're 2-5 and you're only 1 game out of the division. That shows you how crazy this season has been.
Yeah, you saw what PJ did to Tampa. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, one thing about when the head coach get fired during the season, when the guy gets traded, and then Robbie gets traded as well, Anderson, the wide receiver, will wake a lot of people up. Everybody on eggshells. That's a reset button, you know. So when they traded CMC, man, guys in the locker room like anybody, ain't nobody safe in this locker room. So it wakes you up. So yeah, that laziness, or yeah, that not coming in. The meeting is at 8, and you coming in at 8:01, and you supposed to come in the weight room. We start at 5 in the morning. You coming in at 5:15. Nah, with that trade with that CMC with Christian McCaffrey, nah, that's a wake up call because you don't want to be in the streets. Like you want to play football, and sometimes you got to do that to wake guys up. I'm not saying guys aren't motivated. I'm just saying sometimes guys get content, you know. And what they was doing over there in Carolina, they weren't winning like the high expectations was for them to win with the coach in Matt Rule. They wasn't. Nowadays, when you just get to letting guys go, especially CMC, and we've been seeing what CMC been doing since he got in the league, you know, coming out the backfield and running the ball in between the tackles and just having a lot of splash plays when he's healthy. When you let that guy go, ain't nobody safe, Mark. That's why they came out the way they came out against Tampa. They played like ain't nobody safe. Like, this is my last opportunity. And they will continue to play like that because they know the GM and they know the owner Temper ain't playing no games no more. So that's what I'm liking, man. It's that reset button. It's putting gas in the fire. You know, that fire was kind of low for that locker room, I thought. And that's motivation. Sometimes motivation got to come in different forms. That's a whole different form of a motivation when you trade a guy like CMC to the San Francisco 49ers. But that's after the fact that you trade a Robbie Anderson to the Arizona Cardinals. Ain't nobody playing no games. And Temper, with it from afar, it just looked like the owner Temper is in cahoots with the interim coach and Steve Wilkes. So, Coach, whatever you want to do, now's the time. And he's letting Coach Steve, and you can tell these guys are playing for Coach Steve overnight. I'm saying overnight in our eyes, but obviously the players been thinking Coach Wilkes should have been the head coach. And I could be 100% wrong, Mark.
Well, it's the thing I've got my eye on is Tepper, when he talked to reporters after the firing of Rule. The thing that was interesting to me is the current GM going to be the GM next season as well? So there's potentially a lot of changes in Carolina, and Tepper wouldn't commit to him. But Tepper's still new to this, because he just took over the Panthers in, I believe it was 2018. So he's still new to this. A lot of owners come in and say, hey, I'm going to do it differently than owners that have been in it for generations, Ike. I'm talking decades. And but so go ahead, Ike.
Owner a team though. Tep is new for ownership. You know, Tep been owning professional teams for a minute. Don't forget, Tepper was a minority owner for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's still a Pittsburgh guy. You know what I'm saying? So, and he's the richest owner, to be honest with you. As a matter of fact, he's the NFL richest owner. So, you know, that money ain't a problem. And he'll tell you that straight to your face. When it comes down to money, that's not the issue with me. That's how I was quick. I was quick to get Matt Rule in, and I was quick to get him out. And we ain't never got to talk about money. He gonna get his money. I'm gonna move on to the next one. So I know Tep, a very confident guy with personality. I will say. So, you know, just that old Pittsburgh billionaire background. You know, Mark Cuban, the Rooneys, Carnegie Mellons. I don't even think people know Rockefeller is from Pittsburgh but moved to New York. We talk about Tep. Like, we can go down the line with just all these billionaires from this little 412 area code. Shirt I'm wearing right there.
Yeah, the Honus Wagner shirt, Ike. Most valuable baseball card in the history, most valuable sports card in the history. You can Google that and look that up.